Hello, everyone. This week was a pretty good week of chapters. I think Sakamoto and One Piece were very good. C and Undead Unluck finished their arcs, which was good. Their arcs finished rather nicely and rather quickly. With Undead, I'm not sure where it goes next. With C, I'm just assuming it moves on to the next new villain as it's still building its story. Here's the spoiler warning, and we're starting off with One Piece, chapter 1016. The chapter itself was very good, having all sorts of the fighting and everything. The finish of Ulti versus Nami and Usopp, as well as the beginning of Yamato versus Kaido. So the chapter begins with the Fire Festival, and everyone's still celebrating. We learn more about it. We see Otoko with Otama's master, and they're celebrating at the Flower Capital. As Onigashima makes its way closer to them, we see that the battle is switching favor and is getting closer than the CP0 people thought it would. The battle keeps shifting back and forth. We see that Zeus did in fact go into Nami's Climattact, and now her weapon talks, though she's not too thrilled about it. They see one of the Maries, and Usopp, Nami, and Tama try to make their way to her so that Tama can give orders to her quote-unquote troops. But Ulti makes it back, hitting Usopp, capturing Tama, and Nami and Ulti's fight continues as Zeus makes his presence known by making the Climattact into a mace, extending it. They continue, Zeus being fairly competent with Nami, telling her that a lightning strike should defeat Ulti, but Nami's reluctant to do so because Tama's there. Usopp then shields Tama. Nami then goes for the attack, misses, but Zeus follows through, showing he was more committed to Nami than he was with Big Mom. She also tried to rename him Fluffy, but he denied it and stayed Zeus, which I thought was funny. The Marie accidentally said that Ulti and Page 1 lost and announced it throughout the entirety of Onigashima, which makes Kaido's crew start to lose morale instead of what she planned to do, which was to announce that Momo died. We see everyone starting to look panicked of the Topiropo who remain, Sasaki, Who's Who, and Black Maria, who all look pretty damaged at this point, so the battle's not quite going right. Usopp captures the Marie and has Otama talk through her. She'll probably give orders, and then we see the Yamato versus Kaido fight. They stand off. Yamato does plan on leaving with Luffy to see the sea, and knows he can't win against Kaido, but plans on holding him off long enough for Luffy to return. And we see a Thunderbolt-like clash. I don't know whether it's a clash or if Yamato just got beaten. Who knows? As Kaido shouts, he's not going to go easy on Yamato. Overall, I'd give it an A. I thought it was pretty good seeing Kaido and Yamato begin their battle. Again, whether it's an actual fight or if Yamato basically has to start running away after like one or two clashes. I'm not expecting much from Yamato. The Ulti and Nami finish to their fight, I don't think is a problem because I don't think it's the end of the fight. I think it's basically the end of round one. As I've predicted several times, I think that when Onigashima falls onto the Flower Capital, the real battle begins in earnest, as everyone now pretty much at an equal health level, beat up and basically trying just to win and get out of the fight. Everyone fights again. That's what I'm kind of predicting at this point, so we'll see if I'm right or wrong there. So now we're on to Undead Unluck chapter 67, and the chapter was good. It completed the arc with Summer and Fang as they defeated them both. It started with a young Shen and his sister asking an older Fang, back when Shen was learning under him, if they can watch fireworks together, because it was like the summer festival for them. It cuts back to them discussing their plan on how to defeat Summer. They go through the motions on what everyone's supposed to do, with Andy needing to charge up some unluck, with Chikara being in the right position to use his ability, to Shen and Mew using the staff that Shen uses, and to Tanya to be the closer to destroy Summer when the time comes. They get ready and they start their plan. They make their move. Shen and Mew force the staff to extend inside of Summer's mouth, completely straightening out Summer. Top makes his way towards a better vantage point for Chikara. The staff is able to bend because of Mew and Shen, which they coil up Summer, which allows Chikara to see all of it, which, because of the coiled up Summer, Chikara is able to see all of it, and because he has new goggles that blacks out the surrounding area except for what he's looking at, he can stop Summer right in place without stopping everyone else. Andy then jumps into the middle of Summer and sprays his blood on all of Summer's circles to make it that they're all now unlucky because he can now make his presence in his blood. Titania then jumps into the middle of the coiled up Summer and releases her armor to smash all of Summer's cores, completely defeating Summer. Shen then wants to ask Fang one more question, which was if Fang ever thought they were family, which Fang then tells him no, he never once thought that they were family. And he says that he guesses that's the truth from untruth is how he determines it, which I guess could go any which way. I don't know how or what answer he was hoping for. Maybe that does mean that Fang thought of them as family. Maybe it doesn't. I'm not too certain, but no matter what, it seems Shen is more resolved as Summer is defeated. Apocalypse also mentions that no other cycle has been able to defeat Summer, so this is the first. Overall, I'd give that chapter a B. It was pretty good seeing all of the various Union members team up and use their powers to the fullest, showing how strong their teamwork is. It also showed their individual strength, but once again, I wonder how much stronger Under is as a whole. With Summer defeated and Autumn, I think all that's left is Spring and Winter, and we know what's going on with Winter. I don't remember if it was to neutralize or capture Winter, because Billy's at Winter, so I don't remember. It'll be interesting to know, and I guess they're going to go after Spring next to try to stave off Apocalypse, but it's looking like this cycle is going to be very successful, which is interesting. Again, I wonder how true that is in the end. Now we're on to Mashle, Magic and Muscles, chapter 66. Overall, the chapter was good as we get some backstory for Adam Jobs, which is Wahlberg and Innocent Zero's mentor, as well as just the continuation of both Mash's fight and Wahlberg's. So it starts off with us learning more about Adam Jobs, the strongest mage in history. He left a saying, like a phrase, to help the weak. The strong must serve the weak, which is noblesse oblige, I think it is. He left that ideal with his 3 students, so now there's another one lingering somewhere, so that should be interesting. As we see that Innocent Zero's forbidden spell is that he can resurrect bodies, similar to Orochimaru's way, but unlike with Orochimaru's, this one doesn't have any soul. So another one of Innocent Zero's men shows up to take control of Adam's body and attacks Wahlberg. Innocent Zero is happy and hopes that the sight of Adam makes Wahlberg too weak. We cut to a flashback of a younger Wahlberg talking with Adam Jobs, and we see that Adam is kind of quirky, like everyone is in this universe. We see Adam passing on the lesson of the strong must serve the weak to Wahlberg, and Wahlberg didn't believe it at the time, but seemingly has grown to believe it. It then cuts back, and we see Wahlberg bat away Adam's attack, and he is now resolved to prove that he is now the strongest master. It cuts to Mash, and we get an explanation of what Innocent Zero wants, which is that he wants to perform forbidden body magic to construct a new body that's immortal, and he needs to father 6 different children and take their hearts to construct the body he desires. Cell War tells Mash that he's one of Innocent Zero's creations and that all he's useful for is parts for Innocent Zero. Mash is then shocked by this, and in only Mash way, he then realizes it's quite the heavy subject and his whole life is in shambles, and tries to take a nap in the middle of the fight, hoping that it was all a dream and that he'd wake up and everything would be fine. He asks if Cell War and him are brothers or related. Cell War says no, that he's just a clone, and goes on to badmouth Mash before Mash ends up hitting him in the middle of his speech. Mash then taunts him full stop, and it's really funny. It is the most bold Mash taunt there's been, and I'm not against it. I'm all for Mash knowing just how strong he is, which is something special. As at the end of the chapter, Cell War's now ready to fight toe-to-toe and reveals he is also a 3-lined mage, and his wand is able to summon his god, which is Hephaestus. Overall, I'd give that chapter a B. It was good seeing, again, the backstory of Adam, some backstory with Wahlberg, Innocent Zero, learning what Innocent Zero wants or how he's going to obtain it, as well as now Mash now has a really serious fight on his hands, as I don't think he's ever versed someone with 3 lines or a god they've summoned. Marguerite, I think, was his strongest battle, so now this one will be very interesting to see how he handles it. We're now on to Sakamoto Days, chapter 27. This was a good chapter, as we see the fight continue for both Shin and Sakamoto, as Shin makes his way towards Low's level and Sakamoto is stuck fighting the scarred up cyborg guy. So the chapter starts with Sakamoto casually talking to Shishibi, which is the super assassin. Shishibi introduces Suragi, who ends up thinking Sakamoto is a teddy bear, as she didn't know Sakamoto when he was at his super powerful. The cyborg assassin ends up recognizing the name and even mentions that Sakamoto is the only one who ever injured X, the super serial killer who's taking out the assassins. Sakamoto has no idea who he is or what's going on. They then get ready to fight, as Suragi is completely enamored with Sakamoto as she sees him as a teddy bear. It then cuts to Shin trying to make his way towards Low and wanting to find Sakamoto when the invisible guy attacks him. We then see them start their fight, going back and forth. Shin can't really fight him. He barely dodges attacks and can't counter because of the invisibility, but he's able to dodge and stall out the fight. It then cuts back to Sakamoto and the cyborg, who's growing more cyborg-like. Sakamoto thinks Shishiba is still there, only to find that they're leaving as they have somewhere else to be. Sakamoto basically tells him to say hi to everyone and continues his fight. Suragi asks if Sakamoto will be okay, and Shishiba doesn't think he'll ever see Sakamoto die. He is concerned because he thinks an out of shape Sakamoto might struggle, but he's not too worried. The cyborg guy taunts Sakamoto when Sakamoto takes advantage of him talking and destroys one of his cybernetics, and they're getting ready to really start throwing down. It cuts back to Shin struggling against the invisible guy before he sees a silhouette of a bird. The invisible guy takes advantage of that, stabbing Shen, but Shen, knowing who's there, takes advantage again by smearing blood on the invisible guy. And just as the invisible guy thinks he has it won, he gets shot twice, once in the shoulder and once in seemingly the rib. And we see that Hayazaki is there, which I'm very satisfied that Hayazaki's there. I do now hope he becomes a worker. So overall, I'll give that chapter a B. I thought it was very good, very entertaining, was able to keep the fighting going, and we're not quite done with the arc, but I don't see it going on much longer. They'll end up getting low. Sakamoto will defeat the cyborg before it gets too far, but probably get a warning about X, that now that the cyborg was defeated, X will know and probably hunt down Sakamoto and co. Or the cyborg guy will escape and then report back to X, and X will then kill the cyborg guy because he wanted to, maybe because he failed, whatever. And now that he'll know that Sakamoto is alive and quote-unquote working, he'll get hunted down. Something like that I can see happening now. Maybe within the next chapter, maybe the next 2 or 3, who knows. Now we're on to Undead Ch, chapter 19. This was a good chapter as it ended the arc fairly satisfyingly, and we'll be moving on to the next one. So it starts with the First Division director being pissed at I Division's director. I can never remember his name. Who's upset because I Division knew everything about Mare, and he wants to arrest everyone pretty much, and is thinking that Riza is gonna let Mare escape. But the I Division director says that Riza wants to arrest Mare on her own terms, where we see that Mare indeed did shoot, but didn't shoot Riza, shot right next to her, as Riza revealed the painting that Mare has been looking for so long. Mare is stunned. Riza then explains how she found the photo that Mare's been looking for. Mare's father's death was seen as a homicide at first, and so they looked through the records, saw there was a monetary transaction quickly, but it wasn't enough. And so then they deemed it a suicide. Riza found it, looked into it, went to the place, found out what happened, which was that Mare's father sold the painting to an elderly woman who put it on display at her shop, her inn, something, because he loved the painting and his daughter and couldn't defile it, and so he just needed it away from him. So he sold it there and remembered that one time they spent a summer break at this place, and he remembered that Mare very much enjoyed it, and so he knew something or other would happen and he didn't want to ruin it, so he sold it to this place and they hung it up. This confirmed what Mare believed, was that her father didn't want to tarnish it, meaning that he did love her, but his problems weren't going to be able to be fixed. And so Mare's goal has been completed. Riza then reaffirms that Mare did a good thing with all that she had done. Not really a good thing, but like said she did the right thing, because they would never have been able to find the painting without Mare being Mare. So she tells her she did an excellent job. She then tells Mare she can go back to who she really is, and then also asks if she can arrest her. Mare makes seemingly a move. They end up lying down together because they were on the bed, as Mare agrees to be arrested. Sekon arrives to help. He asks where the painting she just stole was, and Riza says it's safe on the helicopter. Mare wanted to end her final heist in perfect style and asks if Riza would mind if she ran away. Riza said she would, and so Mare just goes to jail. The team is celebrating. Here's the news of Mare's arrests and that her father's painting was put into a museum. They're celebrating. Homura then asks Sekon what happened to him, and we find out that Mr. Wan, which was Riza's friend, split him up quite a bit, did something weird, and so on. And so now he's a tad sensitive to splitting things now. But overall, everything's fine. They're celebrating. And apparently, the last art piece Mare stole was also drawn on. Homura asks Riza if she knows who did it. She guesses it was someone who still loves Miss Mare. And we see that Mare, while in prison, looks over at a news TV and sees that the painting was defiled in a smiley face that pretty much it was implied that Riza drew. Overall, I'd give this chapter a B. It was good seeing the conclusion of the arc, Mare's arrest, and basically that Riza won this arc. So I wonder now who the next villain will be and what the next case will be, as I'm hoping this series continues. Again, this was a very fun arc. The next one should be just as fun, maybe more sinister, maybe more something. Who knows, as this one was a more innocent criminal, one that finally worked with Riza, if that makes sense. Riza's odd tendencies actually worked on her. And so we saw how that worked out with a more, not just, but her goal wasn't super evil. Now I wonder how a more evil criminal will work. I mean, there are plenty. The main villain of the series is probably the most dastardly one of them all. So I wonder what he's been up to. Maybe he'll pop up or do something. Who knows? But I'm assuming the next villain will probably be a bit more sinister, just to change things up. Maybe have someone be unredeemable for Riza. So that was all of the chapters. I thought this week was a pretty good week overall, with different things going on with each. One Piece continuing its arc and changing the flow of battle again. How that's going to end up, I don't quite know, with Undead Unluck and ITLC ending their respective arcs, only to get ready for the next one. Undead has a more clear vision of what's going to happen, where ITLC just seems to be ready to move on to the next case. Sakamoto is just continuing its arc, and Mashle just continuing its battle and being funny as it almost always is. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and as always, thank you for watching.